All in Sports Network. We love sports.
Coming to you from the land of brisket and barbecue, Lone Stars and Longhorns, this is All In Colts presented by the Unstable Blues.
Welcome back in. The 18-game schedule is coming. It begs the question if the NFL will expand to more cities to help bear the load and grow the game. Today, we will discuss the 18-game possibility and potential expansion locations. So, let's go. All In Colts.
That's correct. I'm Kevin. This is my son, Liam. We're the Unstable Blues. Happy to present All In Colts as part of the Rogue Media Sports Network.
Yep. Colts Corner Bulletin.
There.
There we go. Congratulations to former Colts coach Chuck Pagano on getting back to the Ravens as their new senior secondary coach. So, very minor thing.
Shh. Don't
But he's
tell
a
him.
coach.
He's back on the sideline, or
I'm sure the money
the
is
locker
not
room.
very minor.
I mean, and he's getting back into position-specific stuff, always secondary-minded, familiar with the Ravens organization. So, congratulations. That's good. Good for him. Okay. First off, let's talk about the 18-game schedule.
Yes.
Obviously, we could talk about this from the National Football League perspective, where it's all about the money, and it's all about more
Fewer count.
games, more less preseason games, more actual games. But we're going to talk about this more from the player perspective and what it will take for it to get done, because the new collective bargaining agreement is not up for renegotiation until 2030. So if the NFL wants an 18-game schedule before then, there are going to be some demands from the players and the Players Association.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, that is the Players Association. Like, the players select other players that are like the head of the players and like directly talk to the NFL if something needs to be correlated between the two.
Right. The last big squabble of this was threatening a season not to happen. Jeff Saturday, former Colts center, was one of the head guys in to make that negotiation happen and have the season go on. So, in your view, what are some things that you think the players will ask for? Because that's how a negotiation works. If the league wants more money, then the players are going to say, that's fine. We want more. What?
Okay. What I would ask for as a player, since I've played football for 2 seasons, never been full seasons though, funny enough. So first thing I'd ask for is an extra bye week. I need that for extra recovery. It's crazy the number of games that are already being played compared to back in the old days whenever, there was 13, right? Wasn't that a thing at some point?
14. And that got expanded to 16 and then 17. Yes. 17 is just an odd number. That's why it's coming.
Yes. So it's a crazy thing that's already gotten that far. I think 14 is enough. Fans of the NFL who don't care about player safety or whatever, just be happy that you have football to watch. It could, think of how absurd football is if you've never heard of it before, and you're like, why are people playing it? Be lucky you have it to watch. I enjoyed it as well, but 17's a lot on your body already, especially because it's top of tops. You're taking big hits. Yes, it's softer nowadays, which I think kind of plays into the 17-game schedule and how long it is. It's softer because of how long the schedule is. So an extra bye week is what I'm asking for. I think instead of a preseason game, used to be 4 preseason games. Then they shortened it to 3 because the 17 game. So you got to shorten it again, which means you only having 2 preseason games to figure out your guys, which I've called for a shorter preseason anyways, not elongating the season, just shortening the season and not as long as preseason. You don't need
Right.
3 games to figure out your guys.
We've,
I think
we've
2
talked-
games is a good spot.
Right. We've talked about how those joint practices actually tell you more than anything because they don't want to put anything on film. Like the coaches don't want to put any regular schemes on film. So you're not actually seeing real gameplay. And you're usually not seeing the main people anyway because you know who the people are going to be. So you're talking about second, third, fourth string, who's going to make the roster, not. So the games themselves are not impressive.
Yeah. And I think the last thing I would say is you're elongating your season. So with that comes more injuries. And I think this past season we saw more injuries than maybe we've ever seen in the NFL, or these past couple of years especially. So just more safety for the players. Yes, they're technically employees, but if you were a good boss, you'd take care of your employees. So take care of these football players like they're your employees.
Yes.
These are at the minimum 20-year-olds getting paid millions of dollars to play a game they love, but they're not safe while doing it. Yes, you're going into it thinking, okay, yeah, I know I'm not safe, but like you don't know that until you know it. That's kind of what happened to me. I'm like, okay, yeah, football, I know I can get hurt, but hasn't happened to me yet. And then I tore my ACL. So now I'm like, okay, I know you can get hurt. Very serious. So just any way possible for safety. Whether that's making people wear the Guardian caps, because that does help with head injuries, or grass fields for less knee injuries, ankle injuries. Trying to think what else comes from grass. There's a lot of things. It's easier on your legs, so it's easier later in life. Just safety for your players. Look after your players like they are true employees and not just people you're using to get money.
I love it. I love the way you put that. To me, I agree. Okay, so you said extra bye week. I think that's going to come up. Yeah, you threw in their grass fields, and I think that it will be a thing. And then you'll have the whole indoor argument. But some of that is refuted from some of these stadiums, like Las Vegas or Phoenix, that have a rollout, or SoFi, where it's got natural light. It can be a greenhouse kind of environment. There are ways to do it. Just do it. Just do it. No artificial turf can replicate actual real turf that you should have.
I'm a vouch for something real quick.
Yeah.
Some people may hate what I'm about to say, especially because this is a football podcast.
Okay.
Basketball is a better sport for the fans than the NFL is because of the atmosphere. The atmosphere in the stadiums is so much better in basketball because you can hear the fans a lot better. Because there's.
You talking college? Or you talking NBA? You talking both?
College is pretty equal between the two. College fans, just whether you're basketball, football, both, you're just devoted. You're just so devoted. So it doesn't matter what it is, because normally if you're a college football fan, you're just a college sports for your college, right?
Okay.
But I would say at the highest level, NBA is more like it's more enjoyable. I prefer watching football myself, but I think the atmosphere, because I've been to both NFL and NBA games, I think the atmosphere is a lot better of NBA. Or just basketball in general. So my vouch for this, and this is not really according to expansion or anything like that. It is more just make the arenas or stadiums, whatever you want to call them, smaller, like basketball. Keep it on a field. And so, but that just means you're going to have less people in the stadium, which is fine. But
It's not going to happen.
I have a solution to that too. Make the tickets more expensive. Hold
So
on.
then-
Make the tickets more expensive, but make NFL Sunday Ticket not as expensive. Make it so you can have packages and stuff like that. All these make deals for NFL Sunday Ticket so it's not as expensive, but make the tickets more expensive so it's just that much more of a good experience. Because if you pay more money, then surely you're gonna, I don't know, have a
I
better
don't know.
time.
but
That's
then,
just my vouch.
But then you're kind of class sizing football
It's got to
watching.
be something you earn then. It's got to be something you work towards.
All right.
Like Carolina Panther tickets were so cheap this year.
Right. It was, and it was, the games were blacked out. And so it was cheaper for Carolina Panthers fans to go to all of their games than it
And
would be
watch.
to pay for Sunday NFL ticket.
Hence the problem at hand.
Yep. I agree
right.
with you on the
Anyways,
Sunday ticket. Okay. So Grassfields, additional bye week. I'm going to throw in, you referenced something, you alluded to something that I had not written down here, and that would be a mandatory financial literacy
So
experience,
what
meaning
do you?
all rookies kind of do this, but throughout all 4 years of their rookie year.
Does this count as the
They
last
should-
pickup option as well, like fifth year?
This should be a mandatory class that is ongoing that teaches you how to manage your money.
I like that.
You don't give millions of dollars to a 20-year-old kid and expect them to do well with it.
Yeah.
Unless you give them the tools to do that. So equip them with the tools to do that. I think it was the responsibility of the older players in the Players Association to make sure that they throw that one in there.
I do have a question concerning money.
Okay.
What if, per se, you have your rookie contract, but you weren't good enough? Is it just you got to go find another job, or should the NFL give you money to kind of keep you on your feet until you can get a job or something?
I think this plays into some of those first classes should be. Do realize that this may
not work
be
out. Yeah.
the only
Okay.
time you get a check from
Okay,
the NFL.
gotcha.
So
That makes
be
sense.
prepared for what's after football, but also be prepared for life after football by utilizing football and the resources of that money along the way. Right?
Gotcha.
What to save, how to save it, percentages, that
Yes,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
that makes
Options
sense.
after the fact,
Okay.
Um,
Before we move on at all,
yeah.
I just want to shout out real quick. Pacers won again, doing really good. And Pascal Siakam set a franchise record for most Pacers points in a game, 37. Doesn't sound like a lot because Pacers normally play team ball, good basketball.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. Go Pacers. We're going on really strong right now, and I think that may solidify my claim as Pascal Siakam, the best free agent signing or trade or whatever you want to call it for the Pacers of all time.
Yeah. Could be.
Better than
All right.
Tyrese Halliburton, yes.
Couple more things I think go into the 18-game schedule. I believe that the players should ask for forever insurance for their players.
Makes sense.
And this may be negotiated if you play X amount of years, and that kind of thing. But
I think it's X amount of years and what position as well. Because
I don't know. That's tough.
Let's say it's 10 years, but you're a running back that can only play 7 because of all.
I got you. I hear you.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think maybe
regardless, we can't have players going off the deep end and having CTE and all kinds of bone problems and muscle problems later in life because of football and not be taking care of them properly, like you mentioned.
Yes, because they are
Take care of them.
Like
the
bare minimum, they're employees.
Yeah,
they're people and they're players and all that.
They put their body,
but yes, they put their body on the line for you.
for your pocketbook.
Yes, they want to play, but they only want to play because one, they love the game, and some people don't like the game, but that's the best thing they're good at, and they're getting paid for it. So
Yep. I mean, look at Jokic. He does not like
it
basketball.
is a job
but
for him.
he does basketball because of what it makes him and how he can ranch because of it. The last thing then related to that would be, I think that they ask for extra compensation and including revenue sharing percentages upgraded from where they currently are. So that leads us now with a quick go around of potential expansion cities. And that this kind of idea came about because as we looked at it, there's just not enough teams in the West. So that's kind of where we tended to focus. So we're going to go pros and cons here. We tended to focus on things like infrastructure, population, and
other
then
sports teams around the area. As
yeah,
well.
like already
whether
existing.
it's too much, too little,
Right. And the kind of the football, our pulse on football within the area. Just because it's bad doesn't mean that it shouldn't be a team there, because that's a potential growth area for the game as well, right? So it's a little bit of trade-off there.
Yep.
Start us off?
Yeah. First off, we have San Diego. Some pros, some infrastructure there already. History of the league in the city. The fan base wants football back in San Diego. I would love it as well. 3.3 million people there. It'd be back to 4 teams in California, so big state, big amount of teams.
Right.
And then that creates 5 teams on the West Coast.
Yep.
So the cons, though, there is a reason that the NFL left. Will the city support a brand new stadium and one other major professional sport there?
Right.
Already.
The Padres.
Yes, and it's hockey. So
no, baseball.
Yes, yeah, that is baseball. Oops, my bad.
It's all right. Next up, keeping it West Coast, as we mentioned, Portland. This is maybe a little bit. This is an underrated football market because of college and high school. Having
for sure
been out there, we understand that there's a lot of. Oregon football is big.
Oregon basketball is big, but I think football is up and coming and will overtake it someday, because Oregon is not. Back whenever we lived in Oregon, Peyton Pritchard played. He's now on the Celtics, in the rotation for the Celtics as well. So it was basketball. Sabrina was there as well. But since we left, Oregon's more of a football powerhouse now. Oregon State is more of a football team now, but Oregon sports is just good. So, but
very
football.
The rest of the pros here, great unique weather, fabulous views for like a TV audience, the mountains and the ocean, all that, and a possible rivalry with the Seahawks. I know the Seahawks have a rivalry, but nothing like that is specifically Pacific Northwest.
Who is their rival?
I mean, the Niners, probably the closest, but also the Rams.
Because the Niners have the Cowboys.
Yeah, the Niners also have the Rams in the division, right?
So Seahawks don't have anyone.
I know.
Which is why this works out so much better.
Cons, 2.5 million in the area, which also includes some of Washington State there. 2 professional teams, the Trailblazers and the Timbers MLS team.
Yes.
And 0 infrastructure in place at all. So that would have to be built from scratch.
Yes. Next one is probably my second favorite. The one after this one is probably my favorite. This one is Salt Lake City. Pro's 2.8 million population in Salt Lake City, Provo,
Provo.
Provo, and Orem area. And it expands the audience into the Rockies.
Yep.
The cons are the infrastructure. Weather makes travel challenging.
Yep.
And there's only one major sport team
Right.
there. So
The Jazz. Yep.
it's the Jazz.
Next up, San Antonio. The pros.
My personal favorite.
I know. 2.7 million in the San Antonio area. Expands the league
But then,
southward.
is it south or is it west? I thought it was west.
Well,
It's
I mean,
West Texas-ish, right?
it's south. It's
South?
South Texas.
Is it southwest?
Yeah. It would expand into a whole new Latino market that probably is not as tapped into as San Antonio would be.
Right. Okay.
Texas loves football. We know this. We live here. Infrastructure is already in place. San Antonio has hosted league teams before in events like hurricanes and things like that. The Alamo Dome is already there. If they choose to, they can expand that. They could choose to redo it entirely, but infrastructure already exists. And as I mentioned, great opportunity to grow the diversity into Hispanic community.
Yes.
The cons, this is a largely forgotten city in the United States because it is so far south, because it is somewhat more in that Hispanic nature. People think of it more as just part of Mexico. It's funny. There's the phrase, remember the Alamo, but we forgot San Antonio. There's only one major professional team, the Spurs. And then the question would be, what would need to be done to the Alamo Dome, or would there need to be another facility because of that?
Yeah,
its condition. So,
yeah. Next one is Dallas.
Ooh,
a new Dallas team, right?
Touchy one.
Would it be something like New York where it's Giants, Jets, or would it just be Dallas, just two Dallas teams, or replace?
This is the giant question.
Gotcha. Okay.
Take us through. Pros?
8+ million people in the Dallas, Fort Worth, and surrounding area.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Once again, Texas loves football.
Yep.
The infrastructure is obviously already in place.
Could be.
And America's team is there. Why not Dallas's team?
Oh.
Cons.
Yes.
The Cowboys are iconic. Jerry Jones would be against sharing his stadium. They would have to be in different divisions and could not be Fort Worth because that would force the Cowboys to admit they are not really in Dallas.
Right. Because they're not. They're in Arlington, which is smack dab between.
Yes.
If you know anything about the DFW geography. So it's not truly in Dallas. So it would have to be somewhere else or share. And I don't know that either one of those happens. Jerry Jones does not want to. He does not play well with others. One of my personal favorites here, St. Louis. The pros. There is some infrastructure already in place. I mean, there is a history of the league in this city, going back to the Rams before they moved from LA here and then back to LA. There's also history way back to when before the Cardinals moved to Arizona. They were in St. Louis. It was the St. Louis Cardinals
yep.
in baseball and football. So
still is in baseball.
Yep, there's a long history. Fan base is hungry for a return. The XFL, or now the USFL, the St. Louis team, what is the Battlehawks, I believe, had a consistent 20,000 fans in their stadium for their games.
I believe that
far
was close to the most for a UFL team.
Oh, far and above the most for a USFL team.
Also, another thing about San Antonio is, or just I guess teams in general, if you are a UFL team, you can, let's say, work with the NFL trying to move yourself up. And San Antonio has a team
Right.
already in the UFL. So,
Yep. Population close to 3 million. It's the 21st largest city in the United States and should be included in a 35-team league, if maybe that might be coming in tomorrow's episode.
maybe.
Little teaser. Already 2 major sports in the city. And the cons there is a reason the league may have left twice before. 2 teams in the state of Missouri seems a little excessive when Texas only has 2 also currently.
Mhm.
But if you put one in San Antonio and St. Louis, maybe that works out. Once again, maybe coming tomorrow. And then the last thing, will the city support a brand new stadium or not?
Yes. And real
You gotta
quick,
know
this was, I have another one. It's not as, pros, cons. I'm sure there's a lot of cons to it, but you're a $1 billion company. Surely something works out. There is a wide, I'm thinking of this strictly from the community standpoint.
Yeah.
There's a big football community in Hawaii. Honolulu would be a really cool place to have something.
Yeah.
But there's it's super expensive to live there. It's not even connected to the 48 states that are here. So a lot of flying, but people fly anyways. And
If you're another team, wouldn't you love that road game?
people, change time zones all the time. So, in all reality, besides the living expenses, but you're a professional football player, you're getting paid a lot of money. That shouldn't be a problem if you use it wisely. Hence why you go back to the classes, take the classes. So, hence all that being said, is it actually that hard to put a Honolulu team in the NFL? I would love to see it.
I would love to see it too. I think the issue would be mainly at that time zone thing, because any place they go, even if they go to the West Coast, there's still a 2-hour time difference.
Plan better.
I get
You
it.
are grown
I get
men. Plan
I get it.
better.
I get it. It could work. It could work.
You could find some way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you know what? That's going to be it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Continue this discussion as we look into realignment with these new teams and how that would look within the current conferences and divisions, and the practicality of how that would impact the schedule and the playoff structure, and maybe even if they just get away from the whole AFC NFC thing altogether. Why do they need it?
Well, this is Liam
And this is Kevin.
reminding you to stay all in Colts.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.